Desk Podcast. I'm Will.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're joined here today by friend of the desk, Jeff Merloni.
Hello, I'm Jeff Merloni.
And we're
Happy
here.
to be here. I have to say, this desk is really nice.
You don't need to compliment the Walnut desk.
It knows.
Its ego is inflated enough already. Today we're going to talk about conspiracies.
Yeah, and first we'll just do a little bit of defining. So conspiracy itself is defined as a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful, which is interesting because there's negative connotations to the word conspiracy alone. And conspiracy theory is defined as a belief that some covert but influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or an event.
And I think we need to clarify the definition because there are different types of conspiracies, right? The conspiracy theory is sometimes a wild stringing together of facts that allow people to come to a conclusion that some power greater than them is controlling their circumstances. There are also true conspiracies of a bunch of people getting together, planning to do something unlawful, and either succeeding or not succeeding, but some of these things are true that we might talk about later today. I want to start with one that may or may not be true, and I think you two are going to come up with a hard stance on whether or not it's true. But so one night I'm sitting, I don't have cable, so I'm sitting in my living room and I use the YouTube app a lot. And I don't know how this got funneled directly to me. Mm-hmm. However, I was shown a video of this man named David Icke, and he was talking about the conspiracy of what's called Project Lucifer, or the desire to turn Saturn either into or back into our second sun.
So, like, the fact that it's called Project Lucifer, and then the segue is or to create a second sun out of Saturn, is the first place where I get deeply confused. But let's follow the logic. Let's unpack this one.
So he seems to think that through ancient iconography, all the way back to Egypt and potentially beyond, there were observations of Saturn being revered as a celestial god in the sky.
Okay.
He claims that Saturn was brighter back in the day than it is now, which seems plausible. And he points to a lot of different things throughout history. Circular iconography with a halo on top, supposed to represent the rings of Saturn. And also wings on the outside of that, supposed to represent Lucifer or Lightbringer or the bright star in the sky.
Or just like
Wings anywhere, too.
Wings
Points
anywhere?
to a lot of wings.
Okay. So Saturn is symbolized by circles and wings.
Circles and wings. And he does this thing in his PowerPoint, which I think is supposed to confuse people who have short attention spans. This was my observation. Where he goes from talking about this ancient iconography and then he zooms in on a set from Madonna's Super Bowl performance. Or he goes and talks about the Rothschilds, seeming to be wearing costumes that draw to mind wings or winged iconography. He also shows the Bentley, the Chrysler, the Tesla, and the Harley-Davidson logo all on one slide.
What about Red Bull?
Red Bull.
Gives you wings. Makes you into Saturn.
And it blows Saturn up into the second sign.
By giving you wings, does Red Bull make you into Saturn or does it make you into Lucifer?
It depends on who you want to be that day.
Okay. All right, so this is like really, really far out there. We're starting with like one that I don't see touching plausibility or, like you said, like it's about stringing together facts, but the wildness of the string here is really far on the spectrum of believable or not believable.
Yes.
And it gets crazier, right?
It does get crazier. It gets crazier because this is where I start to want to believe this, which is going to be a theme throughout these episodes. Where some of them I want to believe it, but it's so wild and crazy that it's not possible. So there is the Cassini satellite was launched in, I believe, the late 90s to go observe Saturn's moons. Mm-hmm. And it flew around. We're trying to see if these planets are hospitable for humans, if there's liquid water, if there might be microbial life or larger life, like a macrobial life. So right now, this nuclear-powered satellite is at the end of its mission. It's done and sent back all the data. It's about to be deprecated because its equipment is old. It happens that it is powered by a nuclear device. This nuclear device is theorized to about to crash land into Saturn. This is a fact. NASA has released that Saturn is going to be crashed into by this satellite, which has a nuclear core. And David Icke is projecting that this nuclear core is going to start a nuclear chain reaction in the center of Saturn to ignite the gaseous planet and bring it back to be Lucifer, the bringer of light in the sky.
In the center of Saturn. So how is the missile, or how is the spacecraft going to get to the center of Saturn?
That's where it starts to fall apart from.
So what's built there?
Right.
Is there a door?
Does Saturn
Just
have a
opens
door?
at the right time? And is this a co-conspiracy between the human race and the alien race?
Really?
What do we both get out of it?
The Saturnites?
I mean, frankly, I don't understand the real benefit of the end game. So, like, in conspiracy theories that I'm familiar with, generally there's, like, a government organization or other organization that is plotting to do a thing. We got that covered, right? Potential harm, trying to create a sun close to Earth sounds potentially harmful. But then there's usually, like, the mastermind end goal. And what is David Icke's mastermind end goal?
I don't know. He does say that the star of Saturn would be significantly smaller than the star at the center of our solar system, which would mean that potentially we've added just enough light and heat to Saturn's moons to make them hospitable, which would then be an end place for people to move to, or aliens to move to and settle and start to colonize the solar system and beyond.
It's got to be a cool sun, though.
Yeah, it would have to be a really cool sun. And this is where it falls apart, obviously. When you look it up, I searched Neil deGrasse Tyson plus Project Lucifer to see if he had debunked it. I've heard him say publicly that he doesn't go around debunking crazy conspiracy theories. He wants to educate. He wants to educate young people so that they don't ever believe in conspiracy theories like this, which I think is noble. Which led me down the tangent of some podcasts are claiming that Mike Tyson and Neil deGrasse Tyson are brothers.
Okay, based on what?
No evidence.
Just saying it for
Just
saying
like
it's
general racism.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last names matching.
What if Neil deGrasse Tyson gets a face tattoo?
Of what would his face tattoo be?
The cosmos.
How do you represent that on the face? It's like one dot and the next one is 10,000 miles away. So the rational explanation is it's not possible by nuclear physical standards, by star science standards as far as densities of things that are required to create a star. And also it just seems like the asymmetry of information between people who want to know about space and people who actually know about space, and the bros who sit in between and speak with authority saying that this is what's going to happen are the reason why conspiracies like this, I think.
What if we just don't have the information? What if the spacecraft lands, it goes to the door, goes down the chute, lands in the center of Saturn, and in the Saturn, for whatever reason, there's enough there to make another sun. So then what? What if it does become a sun, a small sun with the same mass of Saturn? What happens in the solar system?
Does the world change immediately?
Right.
Well, the world meaning what? Earth?
Existence as we know it?
No, I don't think you would have to be able to see it, though. Would you be able to see Saturn?
I think you can see it.
It would definitely be brighter.
I think you can see it with your naked eye.
It would start fusing things inside it, gaining mass, and then gaining more mass so that it accretes things around it. So eventually you'd have a fight, our sun versus Saturn's sun, and
we'd be caught.
What would happen to Earth? What if it's
right in the middle?
Right. Eventually, Saturn's gonna grow enough that it's gonna get big enough that Earth is gonna be getting pulled by both our sun and the Saturn sun. So what if it's a ploy to launch our planet somewhere?
Oh.
Wow.
If the axes are right.
To break it out of its...
But then if the masterminds who came up with this botch it, then our sun just devours the Saturn sun eventually, and we go down with it.
This is my favorite part of conspiracy theories. Because, I want to be able to have this conversation, and people like David Icke make it possible for me to do it. They do the heavy lifting of the crazy connect the dots first. And then they allow us to speculate on, what would it be like? I think the reason I like it is because I want to make a star. I want to be alive when we create a new star.
Right, why not?
One of the questions I've been thinking about as y'all have been talking is what's the desire to believe in something like this So like Will, you said kind of for a conversational purpose to have something to talk about, but then also like the hope that you could be alive for a miraculous or spectacular event.
The Earth's whipping.
Whipping into the void.
I think we just expanded it, and it's no longer the Saturn theory; it's the Earth whipping theory.
The Earth whipping theory. We end up out beyond the. We do like an interstellar, where time starts warping.
Where
people
would
on
the
one side of the planet age faster than people on the other side of the planet because our disproportionate spin.
But is like a deeply irritating narrator going to explain to us why and how that thing is happening as it's happening?
I sure hope so. And I hope that narrator is David Icke.
Oh, God.
I hope he's gifted the role.
Not like Morgan Freeman?
David Attenborough.
We should put a poll out. You guys should vote on who the best narrator for the Fling Theory. I made it that because it sounds more like string theory.
Yeah, it's got more of a ring.
Who do you want the narrator to be? Reach out on
Let
social
us know.
media.
Us?